Welcome to the latest episode of Horribly Historically Inaccurate Cosplay, where Ren Faire Garb meets Spooky Time. Hello, my spooky friends. Welcome back. It is getting closer to Halloween by the day. I really haven't been paying attention to the calendar, and it's starting to get away from me. That being said, I need to get my butt in gear because next weekend I am going to a Ren Fest in Ohio, and the theme is going to be Festival of Fools. And because it's the week of Halloween, the things like jousting and all of the other competitions are going to be replaced with pumpkin themed competitions. So I am super excited. I don't have time to really process what I am going to do. And I'm a little overwhelmed by everything else because this is my busiest time of year. Like, you think Santa's busy in November and December? This chick in September and October. And I mean, like, everybody else that's in the same boat that makes all the spoopy things. So this week, I am going to make some Ren Faire garb, but make it Halloween-y. I bet you guys would like to come with me on this journey. So personally, I find myself always sitting on the fence of whether I want to aim my Ren Faire garb to the historic, or do I want to fit in with the crowd, or do I just want to do my own thing? And as a kid who was regularly picked on for standing out, I struggle really hard with not just going with the crowd because, well, it's kind of like second nature of please fit in, please fit in. And especially being an introvert, my mind goes, don't see me, blend in, don't see me. And so I often find myself going the fitting in with the crowd. I'm now at the point in my life where I'm like, what do I want to do? And what I want to do is spoopy. Spoopy. Since it is going to be an event that is taking place the week of Halloween, I'm going spoopy because that's what I want to do. And if I stand out because of it, well. So because of the fact that I do make a lot of my own Ren Faire garb, I don't buy it when I'm at fairs. I kind of have a pretty standard set of what I do. And now those of you who have been following me have already seen the pattern that I'm going to use for my corseting. Not historically accurate. Horribly historically inaccurate cosplay. So, if you have been to a Ren Fair before, you are well aware of the fact that the things that people wear are not historically accurate. We just go for funsies. And so while my garb is not historically accurate, it is very much so on point for your standard Ren Faire garb. So I tried to keep Festival of Fools, which is supposed to be the theme for that week, in mind when picking out my Halloween-y fabrics. And here's what I came up with. For my skirts, because I have to double skirt it, that's just me, I started off with this black and gray quilter's cotton. It is from Joann's, from their Halloween line. I liked the fact that it was, well, it's a buffalo check, but it's on a diagonal, and so it reads as diamonds. For me, that kind of played with the Harlequin concept, because I could not find anything that was like a traditional Harlequin. I could only really find anything that in like a true Harlequin print in black and red, but I felt like that read too much of DC's Harley character, and that's not really what I was going for. I just kind of wanted like a nod to the Harley Quinn style jester. Along those same lines, for my second skirt, I also went with this guy. These kind of felt super simple individually. I think that they'll have a slightly higher impact once they're layered with skirt hikes and yada yada. For my corsetry, vests, bodice, okay, so for my bodice, I oh my goodness, it's not historically accurate to Ren Faire, but it looks so cute together. I kind of approached this outfit as if it was a quilt. Like, would I like these things together as a quilt? That's kind of, yes, they're very bold prints on their own, but so to make my corsets, I am going with a pattern that you guys have in fact seen before, Butterick 5662. So I have used this pattern before for my Mary corset. However, I did a lot of alterations to it. It is not originally as it is out of the package, where with this particular one, I'm making it exactly how it fits. And I love it. It is comfortable. It fits well. I can't rave about this particular pattern enough. Is it historically accurate, even though it claims to be making history? Nope. Does it create a really nice silhouette for Ren Faire, which is already absolutely not historically accurate? So for the corset, I don't actually follow the package instructions. I personally like to take my lining and my interlining and work with them simultaneously, working them piece by piece across the length of the bodice, so that my seam allowances are on the inside in between the two layers. Then I sew the two layers together about 5/8 of an inch away from my original seam, and that becomes my boning channel. I have found that in my personal experience, when I just sew a pattern together and then press the seam open and add a boning channel on top of that seam, if my corset is a little too tight, I have found that seam to give way. And so by doing it this way, it holds a lot better. It's got a lot of more structural integrity. The downside of it is if there are adjustments that need to be made, there's less give and take in fit later. However, I find that not to be an issue because of the fact that I leave the front laced and the back laced, that I have a little bit more give in my fit and how tight or loose I keep my lacing. And I am going with my absolute favorite, no pattern needed version of Ren Faire skirts, which also end up being extremely adjustable to sizes. And we'll do a little tutorial on that. To make my skirt, I start off with 4 pieces of fabric that are cut 32 inches by width of fabric. I sew them together so that I now have 2 pieces that are 32 by 88-ish inches. I sew up the side seams almost all the way to the top, leaving about a 2-inch gap to create my side openings. I then gather the skirt down. Using fabric scraps, I create a waistband using my waist measurement cut in half and then add 2 inches. Then I thread some twill tape through the waistband on a safety pin. And then you can hem the bottom if you want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. because they're going to get ruined anyway. Trust me. They get ruined. It's a look. What do you think? Hello? Right, I've got my interlining and lining layer assembled and my fashion layer assembled, but it's dark outside, so I am going to call it done for the night, and that leaves final assembly stuff for tomorrow, which is basically just sandwiching the 2 layers and then using bias tape around all of the edges and the boning and eyelets. Yeah, so there's still a lot to go. Okay, yeah, welcome back. Day 2 for me. For you guys, it's like 16 seconds later. Today my objective is to finish assembling my corset pieces. So at the moment I have 4 pieces, 2 fashion fabrics and 2 lining combo interlining. I stuck that boning in there just to make sure that I made my channels big enough. So I'm gonna go and bone the rest of this. Put boning in the rest of this. So the boning portion of this is actually quite simple. I'm starting off with these jumbo 36-inch zip ties, and I'm going to figure out a rough sizing on them. Once I have my rough sizing, I will go back, trim them up, and make sure they fit nicely. And it seems like I can stuff 2 boning channels per zip tie. If these are at a nice rounded shape, they'll go through the channels a whole lot better. And for the love of God, never ever ever use sewing scissors to do this. These are scissors that I keep specifically for this. They will never function again as sewing scissors. Alright, I have like 800 more of these to do. I will trim these down. Where are you? Hi. Whoa, I can't get this low. Alright, I'm going to trim these tails down so that they are all well within my seam allowances and don't get in the way of my sewing machine. Because these bad boys will snap a needle. Okay, all of my bones are in. There's got some nice structural integrity here. So I don't necessarily need to try it on because I've made this one so many times, but I'll give you guys a quickie. Like so. Like so. And then it gets laced up the front. And it'll be laced up the back. So at this point, I'm going to go in with my fashion layer, and the fashion layer is actually going here. So I'm really wearing it inside out. More like, be like this. And then we take this one. This goes here. All right, so I'm gonna go line all these seams up, paste everything together so that I can wrap it in bias tape. To make my bias tape, I'm cutting up the excess from the 1.5 yards of fabric that I bought, and I'm going to cut along this 45-degree angle. That's right there. And I'm just going to keep that as my cutting angle for the whole rest of the fabric. Okay, I've got this whole thing basted around all of the edges so that this all behaves as one layer. So I'm going to come in with these little bias strips that I just cut, and I'm going to use them to bind all my raw edges. Alright, I have all of my bias tape sewn onto the right side of my bodice here, and so I am going to go and finish pinning it all around into place on the inside and hand stitch. That is a take downstairs, put in a Halloween movie, and curl up in the recliner kind of project. So I'm going to take this, and I will see you guys in the morning.